Okay guys, here we go. This is like skateboard mythology, and the goal is to try to find some answers here. And I'm just going to give the disclosure right off the start. I don't know if I'm anywhere closer today to find out the answers on this deck or not. So if you're here to get a definitive answer as to the legitimacy of this deck, unfortunately, I still cannot give that to you. And I don't know if we'll ever know based on the research that I've done. I just don't know if there's full disclosure that's happening, and I think that that could be part of the problem, is that we're just not getting full disclosure. So we're going to talk about this deck, but before we start off, I want to say welcome to 80s Love. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for your support, the comments, the likes, the subscriptions. Truly appreciate it, and it really does keep me motivated. I know that I'm not posting as much as I was posting. Life just gets busy, and during COVID, it just felt like we had lots of time. And so there's a lot of videos from back then. So if you're just checking out the channel now, I've got lots of videos for you guys to go through, so please do go and watch them. But anyways, back to this deck. Initially, I'm just going to give you some stats on Mickey so we get a feel for who Mickey Elba was, and then we'll start talking about the deck. What I might do is, in my last video, I just posted some little video clips of, who was that deck on? Ray Underhill, of him skating, just to kind of keep your attention. I may do that with Mickey Elba as well, just have some videos running here of him skating from back in the day. I'll put the links in the description to those videos, so if you want to watch them full length with sound and everything, you can go and do that. Otherwise, let's just get started on who Mickey Elba was initially. So, started freestyle in the 70s, mid-70s, and then by late 70s, he already started to get into ramp pool skating. His older brother is Steve Elba, so you'll know Steve, you'll know his Santa Cruz decks. The Witch Doctor and Tiger are huge decks that have been reissued a million times. So Mickey is the younger brother to Steve. He's been on some magazine covers, so Skateboarder magazine in November '79, and then in April 1980, Thrasher covers in July '82, and then April '83. So those are pretty awesome. Like, he's got a pile of accolades. He's won comps. His first sponsor was Kryptonics. Pretty awesome. I remember my one buddy having, I think, Kryptonic wheels. And Independence for trucks, followed by G&S, and then obviously he's had Santa Cruz and Dogtown decks. Super importantly, and well-deserved, he was inducted into the Skateboarding Hall of Fame in 2019. So his style, because he came out of the, kind of that 70s Dogtown era, they really emphasized the flow and the power of skateboarding. Tricks were not a huge thing that was happening then. Yes, there was a little bit of stuff happening in pools and stuff, but it really was about flow and power. And Mickey and his brother Steve were just like the epitome of that. So really known for their flow and their power. One other thing I wanted to point out was he's been running a skateboarding school for a very long time. So well involved in the community. It's funny because there's one clip, I'm going to actually pull it up here, because he just talks about his parents and how they've been so supportive of him. But both his parents and, Steve and Mickey recognize that they're not going to be able to skate forever.
We are with Steve and Mickey Elba, the Elba brothers from Upland, California, one of the top competitive brother teams on the circuit today. Mickey and Steve have been skating since the 70s. Steve has always been one of the most respected pool and park riders in the history of the sport. His younger brother Mickey soon followed, and they became known as the hottest team around. It's no wonder that these two have come to dominate the Badlands skate scene for over a decade. From the Baldy Pipe to backyard pools, the Albas are right on time with the grind.
You have to understand, we've been doing it for 15 years. It's just like walking for us. But when you're learning, you got to learn how to fall. It's just like anything else, you're going to have to go out there and learn all the hard tricks. You got to learn how to fall and get out of those predicaments.
All right, what do your parents think of your skating now that you've grown up and moved out of the house?
They're still behind it, but they say we can't do it forever, but we know that.
They've been skating forever, which is absolutely amazing to see, these guys, their lives as skateboarders, how they've influenced the skate culture, and how they continue to do it even today, which is so amazing. So you guys have been watching some videos here. Let's get into the conspiracy around this deck. So when I bought it, I was so stoked. Landed this minty OG, the land where I live, Mickey Melba, Dogtown Skateboard. And this is the street version. Again, 1988, but some information says 87. So when I posted it on a Dogtown thread on a Facebook page, I instantly got this buyer beware notice. And so then it just, like, a whole bunch of people started commenting just with regards to this graphic. And it's so strange because I don't ever remember seeing this graphic back in the day. I don't remember seeing it in the magazines. Maybe it was, I didn't pay attention to it. My first board, though, Dogtown has a special place in my heart because Dogtown Aaron Murray, this one here, this is a reissue. When I got back into skating, this was my first reissue deck that I bought. But this was the board I first bought. My very first pro skateboard was the Dogtown Aaron Murray. And so I'll put a picture of it up here. And it was the blue stain that you're seeing here. Actually, let's just put up the Dogtown picture here that shows that Aaron Murray in the blue stain, as well as the mini version of, or sorry, not the mini version, the street version of this Landed Where I Lived at for Mickey Elba. So it's all in there. But anyway, so there's a special place in my heart for Dogtown, first pro deck, but I just don't remember seeing this graphic. Anyways, apparently this graphic did not sell that well, according to the Art of Skateboarding. But in this buyer beware ad, there was conversation around these decks that came out, and they just were not 100% sure the legitimacy of them. People have talked about it for a while now. I guess for the diehard Dogtown guys, this has been an ongoing conversation with no resolve. But anyways, I'm going to pull up a picture here and just show you guys some of the differences between the actual OG and potential reproduction, potential seconds, potential who knows what they are. Nobody still can identify it. We're going to talk about it more. But let me pull up this image here, and I'm going to be talking behind it and looking at it as we go. So obviously mine is the green stain one here that you're seeing. So when you're looking at it compared to the brown stain one, the very bottom, you can notice that right here is thinner. So that's one of the concerned areas, that it's just thinner there. Another concerned area here is that the cross has not centered in the white circle in the background. You can see it's kind of over this way a little bit, so there's more here and here. What else do we have? Up here, there is, again, just in the screening process, they missed this rope here, and it's still white versus the same color as some of these other ones. There's another section here that on the OG one, that is not white. So this has been filled in white here, but in the OG, it's actually a space there. You just would see the stain. So again, that was a missed screen that took place there. And what else? Oh, so the center rope, this is another indicator. On the OG one, the original one, apparently, the correct version anyways, the rope is more centered in the trucks, where this one is over a little bit more to the left side here. So those are some of the concerns. Some of the other things that I noticed is when you look at the graphic here, especially around the clouds, you see the black outline, but then behind it, you see more white. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but if you look at, again, I'll make it big here, but if you look at the one, on the apparent OG one, the black lines are definitive. There's not like white bleeding taking place in behind them. So again, this could just mean that it's been screened poorly. Whatever the, I don't know, it was like a Friday afternoon, they pumped off a bunch of these decks. But there are some other things as well, indicators that make you go, is this legit? So for example, the grip on the pistols here, this is the one that throws me off the most, but the grip on the pistols, on the one, the so-called OG one, there's no grip on the pistols. There is a grip, but just doesn't have texture to the grip. And so that one throws me off a little bit. Yeah, honestly, I've reached out to Jim over at Dogtown, spoke with Dogtown, and they said that they don't remember doing a second run. I've spoke with Wes Humpston, I think is how you say it, and he is the artist. Now, however, if you go on to Google and you put it in, the AI comes up and says everybody believes that Wes Humpston is the artist, but it was actually Michael S-I-E-F-F or S-H-I-E-F-F. Anyways, the other artist for Dogtown. And so there was confusion there. So I actually reached out to the group, and they had confirmed that Wes was the artist for this graphic. And then somebody had actually posted this graphic here as well, which is kind of rad, from Wes's book that he has out. So you would assume that if he did this graphic, it's similar to this graphic. You would assume that it was Wes that did it. And Wes somewhat verified that he did it. I did not get a definitive, I'm not going to lie, I didn't get a definitive answer from him. I'm like, yes, and there was kind of like a, yes, but it wasn't, yep, I did that graphic, and, you know, no, there was not, I don't know, it just did not feel definitive to me. I just don't know if I'm getting full disclosure, and I don't know what that means. I don't know if somebody got a hold of the screens at one point, took them into a room on a Saturday when they weren't supposed to be there, and they printed off a bunch of decks. Now, again, the only thing for me and in the community is that these decks were not the most sought after. They didn't sell well to begin with. So you're not going to see like a cease and desist, you know, the land where I live skateboard come out, because they weren't popular enough. If you're going to reproduce a board to make money, this is not the one that you're making. Is it rad? Absolutely. But it's just not well known enough, and I don't think the streets were selling that well back in the day. My brother did have a Dogtown actual street that was okay. I honestly didn't love it that much. If I can find a picture, I'll put it up here. Very flat, like no concave at all, barely any tail, barely any nose on it. It must have been like really just kind of as we were going from pig shapes into shaped decks, because yeah, there just was not a lot of concave or anything to it at all, even for the time. In saying that, this just was not that popular of a deck. So if you're going to rip off a deck, why rip off something that's not that popular? You're not going to do it. Common sense only says that somebody got a hold of these and got a hold of the screens, and you know, or it was a Friday night, or like I said again, and they're trying to get out the door, and these were a lot of the seconds that were laying around from that night, and they started pushing them out, you know, a year or so later maybe. Who knows? I don't know, and that's what we don't know. So nobody has come clean on it. I have reached out to Mickey to see if he has any insight on it. He said nothing. When I was talking to Wes, he had heard rumor that, you know, there was an article on the Art of Skateboarding around it. Now, the article on the Art of Skateboarding, which I'll post and you guys can read for yourself, I'll put the link in the description, is talking about this deck without wheel wells, though. So they were referring to decks without wheel wells that were, you know, potentially the reproduction or the knockoff or whatever. So this one obviously has the wheel wells, and I've seen this deck, the OG with the proper alignments and stuff, in this exact colorway. And I'll put up a picture here. Somebody just posted it today. And so he has it in this exact colorway. And so there's just too many things to me that make me go, I feel like somebody just had a bad Friday. They jammed all these boards in the corner because they weren't, you know, the best quality, and then they were released later. That's the only thing that can kind of, you know, make sense to me. Okay, I'm going to do a little edit in here because I've jumped back on my computer to take a look at the OG picture that somebody just posted today that I was telling you about, that is the same colorway. And so it's clearly the OG. It's got better position as far as the rope being in the middle. But there's some things on this one in the OG that are even more similar to this graphic than the stained one that I have in the other comparison, including things like where the sun is positioned on this one is identical to this OG one that I'm posting up here in the same colorway. And the OG one in the same colorway actually has grip texture. And so this is where for me, like, it just feels like it was a bad run, that there was some misalignment that took place. They screwed up the thickness of the bottom here in the screening process. But to have something like this that looks exactly like this other deck here, minus a few different things like the position of this, some of the bleeding of the screening, again, just feels too random to me. with it being just like, why would somebody do it if it wasn't that popular of a deck? So I feel like it just has to be like a misprint or a seconds or something that they did wrong one night and then threw it into the corner and then decided, hey, we've got these boards lying around, we need some money, let's push them out. Then I've also seen a different variation of this graphic that almost is more of like a Western town or something behind it, I think it was. Anyways, I'll try to find that and post it up as well. And so I just feel like maybe it's because it was, in the 80s and we're forgetting this information. Even the people, involved with Dogtown and the artists and stuff, I can't remember the crap that I did in the 80s, all of it. So I fully understand. But anyways, guys, that's kind of where we lie with it. Like, such a killer deck, such a killer stain. I was so stoked on this to get it. I will be selling this actually just because I need more room here and there's some other decks that I want. So I will be selling it. If you're interested, you can, send me a comment. Connect with me on Facebook is going to be the easiest way to do it. And I would encourage you to connect with the Dogtown Facebook group. I've actually posted it there already. But beautiful stain on it, natty edges. It is a killer deck. These decks are still going for anywhere between, $500 to $700 on eBay from an asking standpoint, plus minus a little bit. But anyways, pretty sick deck with an unknown, history behind it that, may never be resolved. Who knows? Anyways, thanks again for watching, guys. I wish I had a definitive answer for you on this, the land where I live, Mickey Elba Skateboard, but unfortunately, from Dogtown, but unfortunately, I do not. Anyways, thanks again for watching, for tuning into 80s Love. Peace out.